Good evening, Belize, and welcome to XTV's news broadcast for Monday, December 9, 2024. Making the headlines tonight, was there enforcement failure that led to 10 fatalities in a single road traffic accident? Government introduces GST-free days for Christmas, and Belize Waste Control resumes regular garbage collection schedule in Belize City. We take our first break and return with the news in detail.
Zink-mas 2024. Zink-mas 2024. That's right, it's a...
Welcome back. With your news, I am Marcel Amaya. The country, and Caillou in particular, is mourning the death of 10 people, including a mother and daughter, in one night. The horrific multiple fatality happened as a result of a collision involving a Ford Expedition SUV with 4 passengers, a motorcyclist, and a Toyota Corolla car in which 9 people were traveling. The incident occurred on the Benke Road at mile 68 of the George Bryce Highway at around 10 Saturday night. The Toyota was traveling from the direction of the western border to San Ignacio. As a result of the crash, the Toyota exploded and all its 9 passengers died, as did the motorcyclist. 2 of the 4 SUV passengers were admitted in a critical condition. The deceased have been identified as 29-year-old Abigail Bradley, 24-year-old Kaylin Pinello, 30-year-old Jasmine Rodriguez and her daughter Giselle, 19-year-old Jahim Iglesias, 31-year-old Shyler Lopez, Amy Hernandez, Rojuel Palma, 21-year-old Dennis Williams, and motorcyclist Alessandro Carrillo. Some, we are told, were cousins and were returning from Melchor. This would be the worst traffic fatality in memory for Belize, and Commissioner of Police Chester Williams stated on his social media page, quote, "This is truly a sad and tragic incident that underscores the fact that as drivers we must exercise due care when using the highways," and quote, Twin Towns Mayor Earl Trapp Jr. visited the scene not long after the accident Saturday night and says there is a need for stricter enforcement of traffic violations. He noted that about 5 families have been impacted by this single accident.
It is heartbreaking. It is heart-wrenching to have seen such a horrific accident as such last night that claimed the lives of at least 10 people. The worst I have ever seen here in Belize. This municipality mourns the death of these 10 people, and we are hurted, and we are very much sorry that it happened. You know, the general sentiments of the people here in this municipality is that, you know, it happened already. We may be reactionary, but it's never too late. It's late in that lives have been lost, but we can take this reactionary moment to begin to implement something proactive, you know, and I believe that it's now time for us as the local authorities, as well as the government, to enforce the laws, because the laws are there. And I have seen things happen in this municipality where motorists, drivers have caused some kind of infringement, and then they come in trying to annul tickets. But I think it's high time that we as leaders begin to take these things very seriously and implement the laws. Because by implementing the laws, 1 or 2 people will get mad at you, but you know what? In the end, we end up saving lives. So we are just 8 miles away from the border, a place where people go to meet friends, you know, and a place where they go to have fun and maybe have some drinks. I have seen checkpoints placed by Sokots, and I believe that the checkpoints have to be more stringent in basically ensuring that the laws are being abided by. And where you have a breathalyzer and people coming from that era or vice versa, if the breathalyzer is saying that you're above the prescribed limit of alcohol, don't even ask that person to drive the vehicle. Take away the vehicle, take it to the station, and then you charge them.
The mayor says drunk drivers need to face prison time. He committed to setting up more checkpoints in collaboration with the police, particularly at night. A vigil was held Sunday evening for the young accident victims. Today, ACP Gilberto Romero told the media that so far investigations have revealed the Toyota ran a police checkpoint on the road. Later, the car would swerve into the lane of the SUV.
Police responded to a road traffic accident in San Ignacio. Upon arrival, they saw a Toyota car, a Ford SUV, and a motorcycle extensively damaged. The Ford car was seen engulfed in flames, and information was that several persons were trapped inside the car. Fire personnel were called to the area. Police assisted with the scene. When the flames were under control, the bodies of 8 male persons were taken out of the car. They were identified as Genesis Parham, Shailene Lopez, Jazeli Lopez, Kylene Pinello, Dennis Williams, Abigail Bradley, Jahim Iglesias, and Amy Hernandez. Also seen were the lifeless body of Alessandro Carrillo and Jasmine Rodriguez. Investigation is that there were 9 persons in the Toyota car, and there was 1 person on a motorcycle, and at some point the SUV and the car collided on the highway, causing the fatal injuries to the 10 persons I mentioned.
Do we know the name of the motorcycle driver?
The driver of the motorcycle is Alessandro Carrillo.
And the other 4 people in the other vehicle?
Okay, the Ford SUV was being driven by Frank Burns, along with accompanied by his wife, Janelle Burns, and their 2 children. Frank Burns and Janelle Burns were treated at the KHMH and remain in a stable condition, and the 2 children were treated and released.
Kenneth Mortis of the National Fire Service spoke of the quick response time of fire personnel.
So initially that call was made at the station at the 99 headquarters at 22:19 or 10:19 p.m. At 10:24, the first fire truck arrived on the scene, and they made a sit rep as to what was found. You rightfully mentioned we had city council from the Kaya district involved. We had an ambulance dispatch from Benke to assist in that mass casualty situation. Between the twin towns of St. Helena and San Ignacio, they both dispatched a fire truck and 2 ambulances. We had an ambulance from the Spanish Record community and the San Ignacio Community Hospital. They also dispatched an ambulance. We had off-duty personnel both from the Spanish Record community in terms of firefighters. We had the entire Cayo crew firefighters off duty that responded. I would say easily we had an approximate 20 to 25 emergency responding personnel on that scene.
Despite the quick response from fire personnel, all the occupants of the car and the motorcyclist had already perished.
By the time we got there, they were basically already dead. We just found a blaze. We just found a car fully engulfed in flames. And on responding, we were informed that there were bodies involved. I mean, if you look at the response time, we took approximately 5 minutes. I mean, luckily, the time of the day, it didn't have a whole lot of vehicular traffic, so response time definitely was not a factor. It was just what we saw on arrival, the magnitude and the extent that it was already in. An explosion definitely occurred. that contributed again to the rapid rise of that fire. So that in itself, that was a tragedy in itself. You had the impact. Looking at the impact, we knew that this car flipped. This car flipped, fire erupted, an explosion occurred. It was just something out of a Hollywood movie, so to speak.
Counseling services will be offered to fire personnel who responded to the scene.
We have an employee assistance program out of the public service, the government of Belize. We have already lined up something for the guys. Everybody goes through this PTSD. Everybody deals with it differently. That night we had quite a number of our most recent recruit firefighters that concluded training this year in March. So they aren't as exposed to this type of situation as you would say those who have already contributed 5, 10, 15 years on the job. And even 5, 10, 15 years, the body and the mind reacts differently. I am a 29 veteran, but every time I go on these type of scene, my body still reacts differently. I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of the profession, we are still human beings. We are here to render services to the country and the community. So I cannot say what my reaction is going to be like, even though, like I said, I have 29 years. But we do have a program, a meeting in place set up for the guys, I believe, this afternoon. And then we'll try to work with them as they go from there. And if we see the need where they still express that shock or that type of feeling that they're not really equipped to work as yet, we'll just give them some time off to recuperate before they move forward.
Today, Chief Transport Officer Leon Gentle took all the difficult questions. He was asked if the accident could have been avoided if there had been stricter enforcement. He first noted that a transport officer actually lost a loved one in the accident.
I wouldn't call it similar. Well, I wouldn't just say that it was a failure of enforcement, but there are so many factors that played into that. In our discussions today, one of the factors was for us to look at basically what we would analyze as what happened on that particular night. The first thing that was wrong, in my humble opinion, was a decision that was made to have 9 persons in a vehicle. Blowing past a checkpoint would have been an element that would be lack of resources and not necessarily a lack of enforcement. The level of enforcement was there and there was some evasion of that enforcement. What I see needs to happen is for us to take a proactive approach, and that has been lacking, where we start to educate and start to push a different frame, speak a different language, take a different approach than just enforcing the normal things that a driver should do. One of the first initial reaction that I had was the fact that, like you rightfully said, how could 9 people be sitting in a vehicle, a sedan, a car? That was my first initial reaction. The second reaction was, if they were coming from across the border, if that was where it initially oriented, we can only assume, because we don't know the facts, that there must have been liquor involved. Hence the reason for trying to evade the checkpoint, because obviously there would have been a level of enforcement there. As it relates to not wearing a seatbelt, 9 persons can't wear a seatbelt in a vehicle. So, of course, that element also would have promoted them to or hindered them from wanting to stop at the checkpoint. So I do believe at some point there are factors that are involved in this matter that, in my humble opinion, would not only be a level of enforcement, but also a personal decision.
We'll have more on the enforcement aspect in subsequent stories. The 10-person accident has left a heaviness over the twin towns. Details were slow to emerge from the scene, and it was the same for relatives who were trying to decipher what had happened and if their loved ones were okay. Rosalba Pineda, who is a relative of both Kaylin Pinello and Abigail Bradley, explained how the family only found out when a police officer at the scene eventually answered Abigail's phone.
Well, I get a phone call about 12 o'clock, after 12. and then tell me that I never said if a accident on Benky Road. I tell him yes, I was watching it on the Facebook. So then tell me, so you need to come here now. So I tell him what happened. So my sister called me and she tell me, girl, I said then call and said that Kaylin is in an accident on the Benky Road. I tell her, what? Like, no, you know, we stay frightened. She said, yes. I said, so my sister started to call different people where she know, and she finally called Abigail's phone number, you know, answer. He called Kaylin, none of the answer. So she decided to ring back Abigail's phone. That was when the police pick up the call and tell she need to come at the scene. That's when she dialed me and tell me we need to go up there. They just call she and tell she about the accident. So going on the way, we get another phone call saying that Abigail Bradley was in it also. And it was like a double shock for us, you know. So reaching at the scene was like your body just trembling, you're nervous, you don't know what to expect to see, you know, and like we were there, the police say you cannot go no more farther than this because it's a horrible sight that the family cannot, you know, see that and they don't want us to see.
Meanwhile, for Jahim's sister Mitzi Iglesias, the family became worried when they saw two companions of his had passed. Mitzi eventually made it to the police station where she had to help identify her brother's body.
So about 2 hours after, I saw a post from two girls that passed away, and I immediately called a friend and I was like, hey, like these girls are dead. She was like, yeah, they were in the accident. I was like, oh no, I like Jahim was with them. Those are Jahim's co-workers. She was like, hey, you know, you just gotta go check. I said, because I heard there were no survivors. And around 4 in the morning, I went to the hospital and they told me they couldn't give me any info. I came here to the station and that's when the police was like, we have a male that we haven't identified. What clothes was your brother wearing? And I told him a white shirt and a black pants, and they were like, yeah, there's a male with that clothing. And I still couldn't believe it. I was in shock, you know. I still called and no response, you know, and that was news that I had to go back and home and tell my mom, you know, like your son has passed away. And it was very tragic, you know. He's my only brother.
Andre Passy Haylock was a friend of Abigail Bradley and decided to start a fundraiser he dubbed Just a Dollar Fundraiser. As of news time, he had collected over $8,000.
I was actually in my bed thinking what I can do for the community. It's a heart-wrenching situation that we're going through right now. And just driving through the town, it's a sad moment. You can feel the sadness in the air. But it's a good cause. It's a little bit overwhelming. I didn't know that it will spiral to this point right now, but I'm getting a lot of contributions. Tree Flags, New Flags, Sansco, Rude Boy, CK Sports Bar, Miss Debs. A lot of people have reached out to me. So I'm very thankful. I'm pretty sure the families, they are also thankful as well.
So for those who don't know, what's the purpose of the fundraiser? What are the funds going to?
Well, I don't want people that are in this bad situation to feel that they're alone. So it's all about solidarity. And I want them to feel that we have love here in Belize, in San Ignacio, and we need to push forward and continue to help these people. Not only this week, not only next month, but you know, their lives have changed forever. So we need to continue to support them.
And I read somewhere that you knew one of the victims personally, so this kind of hits home.
Yeah, Abigail Bradley, I met her a few years ago. Met her through one of my friend, Janelli. They used to come to the Gully Grill. Very, very lovely young lady. So it hits home.
After the break, the Prime Minister says they intend to amend the law regarding the integrity of motorcyclist helmets. Stay with us.
the app. On don't know how to reach you already.
Welcome back. The news continues. Prime Minister John Bersenio on Friday was asked to speak on what can be done to address the increase in traffic accidents. He pointed to better infrastructure, leading to motorists breaking the speed limits more often.
One of the problems we have, or the challenges we have, that the better the roads, the more reckless people get, the faster they drive. You know, when you have rough roads, people kind of slow down because of the bump or the holes or whatever. Now that the roads are better, people are driving very fast. And we need to appeal to people that, you know, listen, can't drive too fast. I use me as an example. At one time I realized that we were driving like 80 miles an hour, you know, and then you save what, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you reach here tense, you're stressed because you don't go. You know what I said, you know, tell my driver, hold it down a little bit over the speed, I'll admit, but a lot slower, and you get there, just try to leave earlier. 1 and 2, you get there, you know, and you're not as stressed. I need to appeal to our citizens to slow it down, to please. In many instances, like what some people tell me, say, I don't have to drive for myself, you know, but for drive for the other driver they come, because they are the ones sometimes that you're here doing on your lane, taking your time, and boom, somebody comes. We need to be able to do more of that. I think we probably need to maybe consider, and I'm again speaking out loud, in renewals of driver's license, to maybe give these people take another test, so you really understand what we can do. So that's a downside of improved infrastructure. But we have to ask for people to please be more careful.
Speaking about an increase in motorcycle accidents in particular, Prime Minister John Bersenio says they intend to make an amendment as it relates to the integrity of the helmets used.
On a motorcycle at 80, 90 miles an hour, but one slip, one rock you hit the wrong way, you're gone. And also even in the tongue that they will be speeding and going through different vehicles, and from the right side and the left side, they're being reckless. They're putting their lives at stake, and then put other people, innocent people, through a traumatic experience. I appeal to everyone, please be careful. We're coming into the Christmas season. While the Christmas season has started, be careful. If you're drinking, don't drive. Get someone else to drive. And that's as best as we can do.
The government of Belize today announced a first ever general sales tax GST waiver for the Christmas. GST is charged at 12.5%. The GST tax-free days will be for 2 weekends only, December 14 and 15, and December 21st and 22nd, and will apply only to local retail sales on all standard rated goods. Additionally, for all of December, all imported picnic shoulder hams, smoked ham legs, and imported turkey will be 0 rated. The government stated in its release that the Christmas waiver applies to immediate local retail purchases only and will not apply to items ordered online, bought on credit, layaway or hire purchase, or bought on consignment, as well as wholesale. Additionally, importers will still need to pay GST to customs for imported goods. Purchases of motor vehicles, gasoline, LPG, diesel, firearms, ammunition, cigarettes, and alcoholic beverages will not be eligible for the waiver. GST will also continue to apply to the taxable supply of services. That includes restaurant services. We spoke with Michelle Langsworth, the Director General of the Belize Tax Service, who explained that the measure is part of reform they have undertaken. She shared that they tested out the measure beforehand and described the GST tax-free days as an impactful policy decision that directly benefits taxpayers and businesses.
So the tax-free days are trends that we have been looking at since we started to receive our information digitally. Taxpayers have been submitted their information online, payment online, returns online. We have also been linked to a Sekuda World looking at importation of data, etc. So it's looking at the trend and the economic impact it has that we were able to provide sufficient data to government to show that the Belize Tax Service will meet its revenue target, and at the same time, government can provide some initiative or some incentive to taxpayers. So I don't think we should look at it like a loss, Marisol. I think we look at it more as giving persons more money to spend. On a regular weekend, we at the Belize Tax Service collect, let's say, 2 to 2.5 million in GST. Now, for these tax-free days, which is the 14th and 15th, the 21st and the 22nd, we estimate, or we are projecting, I think it's 2.5. So you're looking at $5 million over these 2 weekends for people to make use of. But at the same time, we are putting back 12.5% in people's pocket. So we know this is a high season for spending. So people will have more money to spend at the end of the day. So it's kind of a like balancing off, because the more people spend, the more we have the ability to collect back. This is a high spending season. We know how Belizeans are. Christmas is a big thing for us. And so it's not only about the food items, it's about the gifts that you want to buy for your loved ones. It's for that new TV that you want to put in your house. It's for that sofa set. It's for the paint that you want to buy to paint your walls. It's for the materials, the construction materials that you want to buy to fix whatever it is that you want to fix your house. So it's for everything. And I think that is what Belizeans on a whole look forward to during the Christmas time, because many of us go out of our way to get that little additional money to buy our children or spouses or loved ones that special gifts. And I think now more that we can, it will be easier for them to see, wow, I can actually go out and buy more than I thought I could, because I will be getting or not having to pay the 12.5% GST on it. So they definitely will spend more, and I think have a more enjoyable Christmas that way with the things that they want.
Langsworth explained that it will be simple for businesses to comply with the new measure.
We don't see it as that, and that is why we had to test it first, because simply applying the 12.5% as a discount, as a normal discount that a business may give, you will still leave the standard rated products within your POS system. You won't reprogram, you won't do anything. But just like how you apply a discount being offered by your business, you will apply the 12.5% as a discount. So, on GST receipts, it should show the total cost, then what is the GST you're paying. So taxpayers now will have to check their receipts to ensure that that GST amount is deducted, or they do not pay that.
In other news, Belize Waste Control, BWC, the sanitation contractor for the Belize City Council, has resumed the collection of garbage as per its normal schedule. The company had been on a go-slow for 1 week. While both parties were mum last week, today Mayor Bernard Wagner confirmed to Creme News XTV that they had a verbal agreement with the company from the first part of this year, and it is his position that the company walked back on that agreement. He showed us their records where they paid the company $40,000 weekly as opposed to the $65,000 fee. According to Mayor Wagner, they were to start paying back the regular weekly fee in December, and so they did.
It's unfortunate that we may ever reach here, because we had at a level really discussed how we would have gotten through this whole part of the council revenue stream. We have had discussed that with the two entities. So, but we reached there, and thankfully we were able to work out something obviously with the government interceding. I do have a meeting with our Prime Minister still on Wednesday, and so we'll go into more detail of how we look at it from a more sustainable standpoint going forward.
But you're suggesting that there had been an agreement for the slow season. Who broke that agreement? I don't know if it was a verbal agreement or something that was put in writing.
It was, I would say, kind of informal, but I met with the owners of the entity in May, if I can recall, and we had, because I had seen it coming long before, based on our cash flow projections, I had seen that we would run into some difficulty as we venture into the months of July, August, September, October, November. So I had that initial meeting, and we had agreed that we would pay a reduced weekly amount, and that was what we were complying with, and we were supposed to reinitiate the 65,000 on the 1st of December, which we did, and we did that this past Friday again. So I believe through the government interjection, they had agreed with BWC to have it resume the picking up on the condition that we make good of our 65 per week consistently up until the end of December, and thereafter we begin to look at how we reduce the arrears.
So central government has provided a bailout?
No, they had I believe they had discussions with the entity on our behalf, and had agreed to, and obviously asked us if we could comply with that offer, which we did, but we had been essentially earmarked to commence our regular payment schedule come the 1st of December, which we had been doing.
A meeting with the Prime Minister is still set for Wednesday of this week, as the Council hopes that central government will still provide some assistance with the outstanding $650,000 owed for the months the Council was paying less than the regular payment. The Mayor says the delay in the introduction of tax reform contributed to some hiccups regarding the Council's revenue. He also insists on the collection of a garbage fee and would want this introduced before he leaves office in 2 years. We'll have those portions of our interview in subsequent newscasts. After the break, Coast Guard Seaman Gianni Vanegas succumbs. Stay tuned.
Zink-mas 2024.
off and reach where already.
On Saturday evening, news was received that Coast Guard seaman 25-year-old Gianni Vanegas had succumbed to her injuries. She had been involved in a traffic accident 2 Saturdays ago. As a result of her injuries, she was left in a coma. Vanegas was the best performing female recruit from last year's intake. It was confirmed that Vanegas was riding her motorcycle in Roaring Creek Village, Cayo, when she lost control and flipped. A U.S. citizen, Jennifer Hernandez, tragically lost her life in a golf cart accident Friday evening in San Pedro. Hernandez was reportedly traveling along with her boyfriend on the Secret Beach Road when the cart hit a bump and she fell to the pavement. First responders were called to the scene, but despite their efforts, they were unable to revive her. Today, ACP Gilberto Romero said her boyfriend has been charged and it is believed he was under the influence of alcohol.
Okay, on Friday, the 6th day of December 2024, police responded to a fatal accident on the Secret Beach Road in San Pedro. Upon their arrival, they learned that a female had been taken for treatment. San Pedro police visited the San Pedro Polyclinic where they found Jennifer Hernandez with injuries to the head and body. Thereafter, she succumbed to her injuries. Investigation revealed that she was riding along with her boyfriend in a golf cart when the boyfriend drove and hit a bump, causing her to fall off the golf cart, causing her fatal injuries. An investigation was carried out, and her boyfriend, Jeremy Flores, has since been arrested and charged for reckless driving, drove without due care and attention, causing death by careless conduct, and failed to provide specimen for analysis. It was suspected that he had been consuming alcoholic beverages.
Was she a Belize national?
She's a U.S. national.
On Saturday, a body was found in the canal near the Yabra Bridge in Belize City. The man has since been identified as Ryan Romero. ACP Gilberto Romero told the media that Ryan Romero has a history of having seizures.
Okay, on Saturday, 7th day of December, police responded to reports of a body found by the Yabra Bridge. Upon arrival, they found the lifeless body of a male person in the water. He was taken out. Thereafter, he was identified as Ryan Romero of Belize City. He was taken to the KHMH where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Investigation revealed that he was last seen in that area, and thereafter his body was found. He is known to suffer from seizures. No signs of any injuries were observed on the body.
And 17 asylum seekers who currently reside within the Cayo and Orange Walk communities were granted permanent residency cards through the government of Belize's flagship amnesty program. The new permanent residents had applied to the Ministry of Immigration under the program, which afforded residents who are undocumented but contributing to society the opportunity to reside without living in fear of immigration consequences in Belize. High Commissioner of the UNHCR, Filippo Grandi, and Prime Minister Jan Bresenio presented the permanent residency cards.
We gave a number of the permanent residence card, and also we had His Excellency Filippo Grandi, who is the High Commissioner, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. He has been the highest ranking member from the UN that has ever visited Belize. He looks at Belize as a great example of a country that opens its borders to, or its doors to refugees or people that have been displaced persons, people that have come into Belize, into a country without proper documentation. And he admires what we're doing, not only as a government, but also as a people. And over the past few days that he has been here, he said he's seeing the warmth of the Belizean people, how open we are, how friendly we are. And he can see how a lot of these migrants that are now getting their papers or their permanent residence, a PR, are being integrated into the Belizean society. And he thinks that that is a part of a successful program where you can integrate the people that come into your country. So we're very proud about that. So far, out of the 12,000, approximately 12,000 applied, we've already finished off with 2,800 and we expect to speed up the process. We only had one printer. It's a special printer, so we had to get another one. It's very costly, and also had to bring in more people, look at the process, how we could speed up the process. So we believe that in the coming year we're going to be able to speed up the vetting and the approval process.
And with that, we have come to the end of our newscast. The repeat can be viewed on this station later tonight and again tomorrow at midday. Join us again tomorrow for another news broadcast. We also invite you to stay tuned tonight at 7:30 as we bring you the very first night of Creme Radio's and XTV's Zink-mas. I am Marisol Amaya. Have a safe and enjoyable evening.